Alex, and today I'm here to talk to you about vaccinations. Imagine being a parent and having to decide whether to vaccinate your children or not. It's one of the most important decisions you'll make as a parent. And although you know the benefits, you have also read about the nasty side effects that everyone plasters all over the internet, and the celebrities that swear by not vaccinating their children. Therefore, parents today are more unsure than ever about vaccinations. Some cling to the thought of negative side effects, while others stick to the individual rights movement. Therefore, they don't want to be told what to do. But in reality, vaccines' sole purpose is to successfully and effectively fight and prevent infectious disease. So how do vaccines work? Let me show you.
Millions of kids each year get immunized to protect against disease. Diseases like smallpox and polio now affect far fewer people because of widespread vaccination. Vaccines contain inactive viruses or bacteria that stimulate your body's B and T immune cells to produce antibodies, which then fight the disease. When enough people get immunized, vaccines produce herd immunity. When someone is sick, the disease is contained by those who've had the vaccine, preventing it from spreading further and getting to those that are most vulnerable. But if only a few people are vaccinated, the disease spreads easily through the population and outbreaks can occur.
So as seen in the video, when you get sick, your body creates proteins called antibodies to fight off the infection. The next time you are exposed to that same virus or bacteria, those antibodies keep you from getting sick. Vaccines do the exact same thing, except for they keep you from getting sick. Vaccines induce the protective immunity that is a consequence of natural infection, said Paul Offit, chief of the Division of Infectious Disease. To think of it simply, Offit said, getting a vaccine is like having a protective bubble that keeps viruses and bacteria from attacking your body. So scientists create vaccines by dissolving a virus so that it's not able to cause the disease, but can help your body to make antibodies. Those antibodies will then bind to infections and keep them from making you sick in the future. Although vaccines have not completely vanished diseases, according to World Health Organization, immunizations prevent 2 to 3 billion deaths per year. I personally like the odds for myself and my family. Melissa Stockwell, assistant professor of pediatrics and population and family health at Columbia University, says that vaccines are one of the 10 greatest achievements of all time. But again, not all diseases are gone, and that's why it remains critical for everyone to get their vaccinations, including themselves and children. This little girl right here is Callie. She developed whooping cough at 1 month old and died at only 38 days. This is Josh. Josh wasn't vaccinated as a child due to his parents' choices and ended up getting the measles as an adult. John was in an isolation room, couldn't walk without assistance, and took him months to recover. This little girl pictured is Judith. She was diagnosed with polio, which immobilized her completely from the neck down, and it also attacked her lungs, which resulted in her being in the iron lung. And this little girl is Scarlett. She passed away from the flu in 2014, just 48 hours after getting the symptoms, and within 4 hours of arriving at the hospital. Scarlett was 6. So what's scaring parents away from vaccines enough to not want to take the steps provided to prevent their child from going through something like these 4 people that I just showed you? A big one I hear over and over is that vaccines cause autism. But according to health.com, this is a myth. More and more parents are choosing to forgo vaccinations in fear of side effects, and although vaccines can cause side effects, the most common side effects are redness and soreness at the injection site. Andrew Wakefield released a study in 1998 stating that vaccines caused autism, which is where a lot of people are getting their knowledge from, or their beliefs that they will cause autism. Since then, his study, though, has been deemed flawed and has been banned. Studies have no scientific evidence between vaccines and autism. Another common fear is that the vaccination will give you that disease you're trying to prevent, which again has been debunked time and time again. I myself, as a parent, could never forgive myself if I decided to forego vaccinations in fear of my child getting autism and then in return my child got a life-threatening disease. I could never forgive myself. So who are we putting at risk when we decide not to vaccinate? One of the biggest is infants. If you don't have children, you probably aren't aware that children or infants cannot be vaccinated completely until about 2 years of age. And the MMR vaccination, which is the one that vaccinates against measles, cannot be given until they're about a year old, and then they get another one at about 2 years. So you're putting them at risk mainly for your choices. So that's why there's so much backlash on parents that choose not to vaccinate and still send their kids to child care or school, potentially putting the lives of other children, such as those young infants, in jeopardy. Or there are also people that can't get the vaccination due to allergies. People that are more immune compromised, of course, have a greater risk of getting it also. The continued argument that I hear a lot is, if your kid is vaccinated, why are you worried about mine not being vaccinated? The vaccine should protect your child. But again, it just goes back to the children that aren't old enough, that can't be vaccinated, or have the compressed immune system. A vaccine-preventable disease like whooping cough could not be as dangerous to you, but could provide fatal to a young child that you could come in contact with. So when you vaccinate to protect yourself, you're also protecting your family and everyone around you. So let's talk statistics. The numbers don't lie. About 85% of the world's children receive vaccinations. Approximately 2.6 million deaths occurred each year from the measles alone before vaccinations. That right there seems to be a win for me. But we are beginning to see more and more measles outbreaks. In fact, this year alone, from January 1st to April 19, 2019, 626 cases of the measles have been confirmed in 22 states. And scientists believe that more parents choosing not to vaccinate is the cause of these outbreaks. But there's always an exception. Of course, there are some people who cannot physically get the vaccination, as I said before. They would be allergic to something within the vaccination. Or kids that are too young, and therefore it is completely understood that they cannot get them. So life before vaccinations. Here I'm showing you polio. The death rate in 1950 was super high. Vaccinations were put in here, and you see how much it has dropped. And it was basically gone. We had a little hiccup there in 1962, but since then vaccines have kept it pretty much gone. This is the face of polio. This, of course, is a lot of children in the iron lung. And this is the result, all the children after having polio. And again, we're going to show measles this time in 1950, as I spoke about in my speech. It was pretty high, the measles rate, and then vaccines were introduced, and as you see, it just plummeted. And here's the faces of measles, and a little bit of measles. It says the early symptoms are fever, cough, runny nose, and red and watery eyes. The first day of rash is pretty mild, and then it gets extremely worse. So after looking at the background of the vaccine, the diseases they prevent, and the myths that are keeping many people from getting vaccines, we know that vaccines are important for the whole society and not limited to only one country. Traveling around the world is more common today, and exposure to viruses combined with low vaccination rates can easily cause an outbreak. Even though vaccines have proven to be safe and effective for years, there are still some people who strongly believe that vaccines are harmful, and they shouldn't be forced to take them. And whether or not everyone agrees with the use of vaccines, they will continue to be a part of the health community. Thanks for listening.